If you saw the last video, you know how badly I failed trying to scale an evaluation alongside a funded account. But since then, I have successfully withdrawn a max payout of $2,000. And to top it off, we're back once again, leaving just $300 away from our next max payout. So this week, we're taking the challenge to the next level. Instead of one evaluation, we're doubling down to copy trade 2 accounts, potentially tripling our income once we get them passed. But before jumping into that mission, let's try to get this withdrawal secured first. We are back this week after taking a 4-day break off the charts. I'm not sure if you guys ever feel this way after a holiday, but everything felt kind of cloudy and I was low-key afraid I'll crash out today, especially since we're getting pretty close to max payout. So yeah, coming in today, we're trading within this overnight gap up and price seemed to have rejected off the 680s, so I'll probably be looking to sell, which did came shortly after market open where price started forming low lows off the EMA and the market pretty much ripped straight down to secure our first trade of the week. But at this point, I'm still about $10 away from reaching the max payout. However, I didn't really want to risk crashing out by forcing a random trade just to hit the goal. So I waited patiently for the next setup where price was rejecting off this area and it looked like we were respecting the trend line as well. So I jumped in short but built out just enough to reach our goal since I kind of noticed we were back at this demand zone on the 5-minute and there's still a chance price could bounce. Luckily, it eventually ripped up, which would have stopped us out if we held, ending the day up a little over $300. But enough talking, as I wasted no time withdrawing $2,000 from the account, completing our second max payout and making this our 4th withdrawal from Lucid. But after cashing out, I kind of procrastinated on getting the new evals, and just when I wanted to buy some before market open, Lucid got hit with some website issues, so I just went ahead and traded my funded account anyway. Pre-market was looking pretty bullish today, but we do have this resistance around the 240 area, so I'll be leaning longs if we can break through that. Right off the open, we pushed higher, making new highs, so I sent along after a bullish 5-minute close. But I low-key should have waited for our pullback though, seeing we were trading right into resistance, which got us tapped out for $245. At this point, I was still checking if I was able to lock into Lucid, which made me enter late on this trade. I chased it anyway, but price started hesitating around the 500s and I wasn't really comfortable holding it since I was already late to the move. So I just built early for $118. I re-entered long after a 5-minute close with a decent candle and I figured we should at least make another leg up from here, right? So I loaded another 5 micros looking for price to at least test the 560 area. Unfortunately though, the market didn't follow through and started rejecting instead, stopping us out for $430. Seeing the 1 minute put in a lower high off the resistance line, I jumped in short aiming for the market to test this gap where we did dump to secure a quick $225. Shortly after, I flipped long after price bounced off the gap, but I kind of moved my stop a little too early, which got stopped out for break even. However, I re-entered after another bullish candle close and the market pretty much pumped straight to my original target for $150. The market was slowing down and doesn't seem to be selling anytime soon. So after we broke through the 15-minute gap, I entered long again but only aimed for around 15 points since we were kinda losing momentum. Luckily, we did push right into my target for $160, bringing the account back to almost break even. We actually kept ripping after that, but I low-key felt we were overdue for some kind of correction. So after a bearish 5-minute close, I sent a short thinking we'll at least come back to test this gap before making the next move. Even though it was only a small target, it was enough to put the account back to the green. At this point, I actually decided to end the session already, but I left the charts open thinking maybe I could enter one more bearish trade after pumping the whole day, which was a bad decision as I ended up taking another shot off screen after seeing the 5-minute close bearish off the resistance line, but it didn't work out as planned. So after commissions, we wrap up the day down around $200. And we finally got our hands on 50K account before starting Wednesday. Let's get the tracker going, and coming into the session, we were kinda losing steam after Tuesday pump, so I was being pretty cautious looking for longs. Off the open, we dumped lower, but it didn't hold as we immediately ripped back up to make higher highs. I took that as a sign that we might squeeze one more leg higher before deciding the next move, so I jumped in long targeting the recent highs to bank in a decent $300. We started forming lower highs after rejecting off the liquidity area, so I deep short, but the problem was that we are still trading above the EMA and we almost got stopped out before price decided to rip lower again. Unfortunately, we came just a few points away from our target before we started bouncing, so I decided to take it off at break even. I jumped back in short after getting a decent reaction off the supply zone, but only aimed for price to return back to the EMA for a quick 145 bucks. However, after the market printed another red candle, I was feeling a lot more confident that price will finally dump lower. So I re-entered short, and this time price pretty much ripped straight to my target, securing another 180 bucks. With the account up over $600, you would think I'll walk away from the charts, right? That was my initial plan though, until apparently, the copy trader kinda messed up and didn't manage to close the last trade for my second eval, so instead of banking a win, we actually took a loss, which dropped the profit down to 160 bucks. Since we were still less than 30 minutes into the session, I decided to keep trading that account, hoping to get it back to around the same profit. For the next 20 minutes, I took a few trades but didn't really make any progress. Not gonna lie, I was low-key tilted at this point as I could have ended the day early had the copy trader closed the trade on time. Instead, I'm still out here balling my eyes trying to find another setup. Luckily, that didn't last long as we got a chance to jump in short after price bounced off the supply zone. Even though I probably should have waited for the 5 minute to close for more confirmations, it did look kind of bearish already, so I held on anyway, targeting the next liquidity area. And thankfully, price played out just fine for a fat 450 bucks. I could have ended the day there, but we were still $100 away from matching that first account, so I did rip another quick shot just enough to finish the day with both accounts up a little over 600 bucks after commissions. We start off Thursday with a strong downtrend, but we do have some resistance from a few days ago that could cause some rejection. Right after the market opened, we got a decent reaction off this demand zone, so after breaking above the EMA, I sent along looking for us to continue pushing higher. However, we were kind of struggling to break through VWAP, so I just bailed for a small loss. Should have held the first trade though, as I low-key FOMO into multiple longs around this area after the market printed another bullish 5 minute close. But I obviously didn't give them enough room for a correction since I was constantly getting edged out of the market before we eventually reached straight to my original target after a few attempts. Even with that win, I was already down more than 600 bucks. Honestly, this was one of those sessions where I really overtraded. I was just jumping into a whole bunch of trades hoping things would move my way instead of actually following my trading plan. Somehow though, I managed to keep most of my losses pretty small and still bank a few fat trades to keep the account alive. After about 40 minutes of fighting against the market, we were met with this short where the price started forming a downtrend off the liquidity area. And with the confluence of the 5 minute printing huge bearish candles, that trade worked out nicely and brought the account back to only negative 200 before commissions. So I figured maybe it's finally time to stop trading since we are close to break even already. But yeah, once again, I got rage baited by my copy trader after noticing a huge difference in P&L. Frankly, I have no idea what happened and I was just doubting if my laptop can actually handle multiple accounts during volatile sessions. Seeing such a huge disparity, I completely scrapped the thought of ending the day and continued trading anyway, which may or may not have been a clever idea. Eventually, we broke through the downtrend and with the 5 minute closing green, I took a stab long with 10 micros, and this time though, we finally got our account back into profit. But after seeing my second eval was still deep in the red, I somehow decided to rip another long, hoping we'll get one more leg up to drag that account back into green as well. And yeah, I low-key gave back the profits. However, the market gave me another chance after rejecting off the EMA, so I jumped back in with another 10 contracts, which finally clawed the account up to a decent 400 bucks. But instead of walking away, I decided to switch to my second eval, hoping to get the account back into profit. Looking back, it's probably not really a good idea as we are closing up on lunch hour already and I was really feeling tired after all that overtrading and stuff. So at this point, I was having an all or nothing mindset where I was constantly oversized trying to short the market, which unfortunately ended with me blowing my second eval. But since I was still convinced sellers would step in, I switched back to my first account and ripped one last shot before walking away with one account down and the other up 550 bucks. Alright, we finally reached the last day of the week on trying to pass the Lucid evaluation, but let's just say I made a huge mistake. Actually, make that too. First off, I forgot to turn on the recording because I was literally running late to the market today and it somehow completely slipped my mind. Secondly, you've probably guessed it. Yeah, I blew my second evaluation as well. No technical issue or whatsoever like yesterday, just plain dumb shit of trying to pass the account fast by the end of the week. And if you look closely at my colorful Friday chart, you can probably figure out why. I was literally overtrading again. And not gonna lie, first half of the day wasn't really that bad as I was trying to long around this area area, but I got stopped up a few times because I didn't really give the trades enough space. Even then, I only ended up slightly in drawdown before ripping some shots to bring myself back a little above profit. However, everything went downhill after this candle, where I was looking to short for some downtrend continuation, but just when I tried placing my stop above this candle, price literally waked me up before jumping into my direction, which low-key did my account back to drawdown again, causing me to get frustrated and started sizing up to minis for the second half of the day. The account didn't really move much after taking some wins and losses, but I pretty much got chopped up around this area, putting me deep in the red. At this point though, I probably should have just cut it and walked away, but because I was kinda salty from yesterday's disaster, I was like, no way I'm ending this week down. So I let my ego take over and started ripping more trades into lunch hour before eventually blowing the account. So yeah, I guess we successfully failed the evaluation challenge again, but bad news aside, at least I still have my funded account to trade while I try to get these overtrading habits under control. And after blowing 2 evaluations in less than a week, I think it's probably time I stop trying to rush the process and just focus on trading this account normally again. As for the evals, maybe I'll give them another shot once I figure out how to stop my copy trader from messing up. By the way, I'm using Replicando if you guys are wondering. And for those of you who are copy trading, have y'all ever been in a situation like this? If so, feel free to drop a comment down below to share your experience. Hopefully we can figure this shit out and start scaling our accounts again. And if you want to see whether I can shoot for another payout, follow along for the next one, and I'll see you guys real soon.